Hey everybody, it's Sam Jacobs. Happy Friday. Welcome back to the Sales Hacker Podcast and to Friday Fundamentals. We've got this week's guest back on the show, Amira Rand, Vice President of Sales and Strategic Partnerships at Criteria Corporation. And she's going to talk to us about the steps and the thought process and the approach for being the CEO of your own career and managing your career with intentionality. Now, before we get into that question and that topic, we want to make sure that we thank our sponsor. Our sponsor, of course, as we all know, is Outreach. Outreach triples the productivity of sales teams and empowers them to drive predictable and measurable revenue growth. By prioritizing the right activities and scaling customer engagement with intelligent automation, Outreach makes customer-facing teams more effective and improves visibility into what really drives results. Now, Amira, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Sam.
We're excited to have you. Hope you're having a good Friday.
I am.
Ready for the weekend, I'm sure.
Yes.
So the question we have is really, we talked about this in this week's episode about managing your career and being the CEO of your own career. So what advice do you have and what's your framework? How should we think about taking the reins of our own career and becoming the CEO of our own career?
Yeah, I think so frequently as we're whether or not we're in a job that we don't like, and so we want to run away from it, or whether or not, even oftentimes I'll see a VP level or director level, they'll approach somebody in the organization and say, hey, I really think you'd be great at this job. And then that person either feels like, oh, maybe I would be, or they feel almost a little internal pressure to apply for that job because they don't want to disappoint maybe a leader in the organization that they look up to. I think those things can sometimes take us off track. They can be happy accidents for sure, but at the same time, they can actually take us off track where we want to end up. And so for me, it's really about kind of taking control over your own career, ensuring that every step you make is really intentional and that you're not running from something, but you're running to something, because I think that makes everybody a lot happier. I'm a firm believer that the universe provides and oftentimes puts lessons right in front of us those lessons are going to keep being presented until we get it through our thick skulls that we need to learn them. So if we keep running from something, we're going to face that same problem in our next job inevitably. So I think by kind of being more intentional about your career, you wind up making a lot better moves and hopefully wind up being a lot happier in the long run at a place where you spend at least 40 hours a week.
Are there any tools, tips, or frameworks for being more intentional? Let's say someone's listening, they say, okay, I want to be more intentional. What do I do first? How should I do that?
Yes. So the first thing I would like you to do, and I'm going to be really descriptive here. So I want you to there are probably two exercises that I think are really important. The first thing is take a piece of paper, and for a week, 2 weeks, what I want you to do is I want you to have that piece of paper right next to you and have a happy face on one side and have a sad face on the other, or like an angry face. And everything you do during the day, I want you to write down when you're feeling really good about your activity. When time is flying by, that's always a really good indicator that you're doing something you enjoy. And I want you to write all those things down. And then on the side with the sad face or the angry face, every time you feel frustrated or like you want to run to the fridge and grab something to eat because you want to procrastinate, all of those things, I want you to write them down. So that way you get a really good feel of what are the things you enjoy in your job and what are the things you don't enjoy. Because you want more of the enjoy, because that means your time's going to go by faster, right? You're not like slaving away, and you know that job's going to be a good fit. So that's the first thing, just to get a feel internally of what do you enjoy doing? Because a lot of times we don't know, and we don't really look at it from that perspective. So that was one of the things that I did that was actually really helpful. I did a quick stint in operations for a little while and realized that was like using my left hand all day long, and it was super frustrating. And I did a stint for 3 years, and I went right back into sales, and I'm like, oh yeah, this shoe fits. Like, I'm so much happier. So I think that makes a big difference, and it helps you understand what are the moves you should make and the moves you shouldn't make. So that's number one. Number two, the first thing you do is you really take a look and an inventory. Well, you write down where you are now, and you write down where you think you want to be. So you have A is where you are now, and you have B is where you want to get to. And so under A, which is where you are now, understand what are the skills you currently have? What are the things you enjoy doing? What's the knowledge that you've acquired? And then B, which is where you want to go, you need to start building out an inventory of all of those things. So understand, what does it take to get to B? What is the experience that you need? What is the knowledge that you need? Do you need an advanced degree? Do you need some type of PMP certification? Whatever those things and requirements might be, you kind of fill out that profile. And you talk to hiring managers, you talk to people that have done the job, and you get both subjective information and really objective requirements in that process. And you also understand what are the things that person does on a daily basis. And then what you do is you build a map. And you say, here are the things that I don't have. Here are the things that I do have. Here are the things I know I'm not going to enjoy. Here are the things I will enjoy. So the first thing is identify, do you actually want to get to B? And if not, then come up with another plan. Or you say, all right, here's where I am now. Here's where I need to be. Here are the gaps that I have. And then your career plan becomes the plan to bridge the gaps. So if there's a particular skill you need, or let's say you need to have outbound prospecting experience to get to B, then figure out, how do you do that in your current role? Or how do you find a new role that might get you that experience that you need, again, to get to the end point of B? And then along the way, it actually allows you, if you do that and you map it really well, then when that VP of whatever division or the general manager of a division comes up and says, hey, Amira, I'm really interested in you taking this job on this new project, if that job doesn't fill that gap for me, or that job doesn't help me get closer to B or takes me off the most direct route to B, then I'm probably going to say no. But I'm going to have a really good reason to say no, and hopefully be able to explain why I might not be considering that job. So for me, kind of using that framework has been really helpful in terms of helping my trajectory.
I love that. That's really, really useful. So just recapping it, take some time over the course of, a week or 2 weeks to figure out what are the activities, the specific activities that you like doing and don't like doing, and then take some additional time to figure out where you are and where you want to go and what are the gaps that you need to fill in. And then from there, you can evaluate new opportunities against that sort of quadrant of things that I like doing that relate to the gaps that I need to fill.
Yeah. Or identify the best path to fill those gaps and then start moving towards there.
Absolutely. Great. Amira, thanks so much for being on the show this week. If folks want to reach out to you, you mentioned LinkedIn. Can you just remind us how to spell your name in case we want to do a little search and send a customized note telling why we want to connect?
Absolutely. It's Amira, Amyra, and the last name is Rand, Rand. And I'm currently the VP of Sales and Strategic Partnerships at Criteria Corp.
Awesome. Amira, thanks for being on the show. If folks want to reach out to me, linkedin.com/Sam F. Jacobs, and I will talk to you next time.
Thanks, Sam.